All right, let's just talk about the rental portfolio that you spoke about. Now, there is another big concern that, housing in this country is still not recovered to its peak, and most of the stocks which are doing very well in the listed space are the ones which have got a very strong rental portfolio, an office space portfolio. How aggressively will you go after that market?
I think I mentioned slightly earlier in our interview that we've already invested about 3,000 crores into our rental portfolio. At the end of this fiscal year, we'll have a sizable income of almost 200 crores annualized from our rental business, and that is going to steadily keep growing upwards. Our medium-term plan, in the next 3 to 4 years, is to have a situation where a development company has zero debt, and all our debt is supported by our rental income, and all our debt is covered by our rental assets.
Okay. Approvals now. I did a panel. You talked about execution and you said, look, you can actually work very efficiently with working capital if you can execute in 3.5 years. But what I hear is that MMR, despite the fact that it's spoken a lot about single window clearance, is still not that easy. Is that your experience, or is that blown out of proportion?
I think it's blown out of proportion. I think we know what is important. I think the unfortunate problem is that developers want to make sure they make the every last penny. So they want to utilize 100% of the FSI. They want to cut every corner which is possible to cut, and that's not our approach. Our approach is a manufacturing approach. We will design for 98% of the FSI. We'll make sure that the norms that the government wants to focus on are there in our original design, so we don't keep wasting time updating the design. You take that approach, approvals have become a lot more transparent, and I think, if the ease of doing business in this country has moved from 130 to 100, some part of it is seen on the ground also. We will always quibble because we are not in the top 10. So we are not Singapore. Nobody's claiming we are Singapore. But it has gotten certainly better, and it is possible if we keep ourselves aware of the ground realities and don't try to, make everything just perfect, approvals are okay.
Okay. Then let's talk about the cost of capital per se. A little bit of elaboration if you can give me. There's a range of cost of capital in this country. You have smaller developers getting stretched right up to 18 to 20%, and then you also have the corporatized brands which have even 9% going. Where would you put yourself?
So our average cost of borrowing is about 12%, and we expect that to fall meaningfully after our capital raise.
Okay. I know that every DRHP does enhance the risks attached to a business, and there are risks, political risks, business risks, you have material risk, you have labor risk, but there's something which is very peculiar to real estate, which is land titles. And I read one of the paragraphs which said that in 2 of your locations, Dombivli and Bhiwandi, there is about 1,000+ acres where land titles are not in your hand right now. Can you explain that? Because it came across to me as something which could be a red alert.
No, I think just to clarify, what we've said in the DRHP is that out of about 5,000 acres of land that we own in those locations, about 20%, about 1,000 acres, we have not obtained third-party title certificates.
Oh.
So it's only a paperwork activity which is pending. When you own so much land, you're constantly acquiring and updating records. Something is left pending at all points in time, so that's all it is. The land title in those locations is very solid.
All right. So just look at the net asset value of your land. About 4,450 crores is an MMR alone. That's what the
4450 acres.
4450 acres, pardon me, is an MMR. So then why would you want to step out? You've also said that in geography-wise, we will look at other opportunities. This itself will keep you busy for a long time?
No, I think our strategy is very clear. We are focused, like I said, on doing multiple asset classes with a particular focus on mid-income affordable housing in MMR and Pune. So that is really going to be our focus over the next 2 to 3 years. We are not intending to get into multiple geographies.
All right. So finally, I think just wanted to understand from you in terms of the overall real estate forward-looking for the industry, when would your residential sales probably reach the peak? Is it a new norm that let's not look at that number of 2011-12, or do you feel that there is enough pent-up demand to come back?
I think you'd see that all asset classes, like I said earlier, except premium housing, are actually performing way above 11-12 levels. Mid-income housing absorption, office absorption, retail footfalls, retail rentals, retail incomes, supply chain, logistics, warehousing, they're doing all exceptionally well.
So it's only luxury,
it's
basically.
only premium housing, luxury housing, where we have seen a situation where last 3-4 years businesses have been through a correction mode. The Indian economy has become a lot more, I would say, organized and formalized, and in that process businesses have taken a little bit of a backseat in doing these kinds of discretionary investments, and there had been oversupply built up in premium housing over a few years. For example, you know, when you get good quality, sales happen. So last year in the island city of Mumbai, which is, you know, a most expensive part of the country, we sold 3,000 crores of residential products. So sales happen for good developers. I agree that premium housing is currently one part of the market which is not performing as well as the others, but other than that, real estate is really doing extremely well in the other categories, and premium housing is cyclical. It will come back in a 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years.
All right. London, I know that you've said and made this statement earlier as well that, you know, Brexit has not affected that market at all, but the premium luxury market continues to do well, and your sales have been as per expectations?
Yeah, we have 2 projects there. One completes this year, one completes next year. As a business, we have focused on our India. We are focused on our India business, and that's really where we are not making any further investments into our UK business. The 2 current projects are doing well. Sales have been strong, and they will sort of complete over the next couple of years.
How come no more investments? Nothing overseas at all?
No, we are very focused on growing our business in India. The opportunity is so immense. At 11,000 homes, we are by far the largest developer in the country. China, the largest developer, does 300,000 homes a year. There are 20 developers doing more than 50,000 homes a year. You know, people say India will become, you know, a 10 trillion economy sometime in the next 15 years, which will mean that housing demand will be 6 times more than it is today.
But Abhishek, 70% of the demand is for under 20 lakh housing. Now that is something which developers are unable to crack the code on.
I think, Manisha, again, you're taking a very, you know, year and now view. What is 20 lakh today will be 40 lakhs in 7 years' time, just normal growth. Incomes grow. The same guy who can afford, who's earning 6 lakh rupees today, in 5 years' time will be earning 10 to 12 lakhs. You've seen that happen. When he earns 10 to 12 lakhs, he buys a 35, 40 lakh home. So demand and supply will start coming together as the economy grows. This has happened in every economy. You know, India is nothing unique in that sense. We have to see India over 10-year outlook, which we as a company see. That is why this heavy focus on mid-income housing, mixed-use developments, and doing it in high quality. Because nobody, whether a guy buys a 40 lakh home or a 40 crore home, it's the biggest purchase of one's life. And you want to make sure that the quality is good and you enjoy living there, and that is what Lodha is good at. And we truly believe that housing in India, especially mid-income affordable housing and ancillary categories like office, retail, are just about to take off. It's already taken off. People have not yet realized. Premium housing should not color your view about what real estate is to this country, the employment it generates, the wealth it creates for the middle class.
Okay, one final question, and this is essentially we were looking at some of the GST cases. There is a certain you know, case registered anti-profiteering against Lodha. We've heard from official sources for not passing back the benefits to the customer. Is that something that you're likely to resolve with the government quickly?
We haven't been given any notice, because when GST was implemented, for every development we passed on the GST credit through a formal letter to our customers. So A, I'm not aware, and B, if there is, we'll of course present the facts, because, you know, putting a complaint in this country is not the most difficult thing.
All right, Abhishek Lodha, thank you very much for speaking with us.